Hello and welcome to Books and Beyond. My name is Jimmy Bennett. I'll be your host. And this show is about regular people doing creative things. I try to highlight local authors, artists, photographers, anybody that on top of their regular day job or regular life, does a little something extra. And I'd like to showcase this. And there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of creative people that just need to be seen and heard from. Myself, I'm a professional chef. I work at Stone Ridge Community Retirement Center in Stonington. But a few years ago, I began writing in earnest, and I wrote 3 books so far. I've written The Case of the Flying Corpse, Counsel William Gillette, and this, I'm kind of proud of this book. It's my first book, The Case of the Flying Corpse, but it's a special limited edition for the 100-year anniversary of when Gillette moved into Gillette's Castle. My books are available at Bank Square Books, Savoy's and Wesley, and on Amazon. And you can usually find me here and about around town. I'm also the co-chairman with Patty Brooks of the CAPA, the Southeastern Connecticut chapter of the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association. And we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show, but it's a great meeting place for people that have anything to do with the writing business, whether you're a writer, illustrator, publisher, agent, anybody at all. It's a great networking session. You get to meet a lot of nice people, and it gives you a lot of encouragement. I actually belonged to the CAPA for a year before I even published my first book, and it gave me a lot of insight and a lot of help, and I'm very grateful to them all. And also because it brings me wonderful people like Rose Young.
Thank you.
Who is an author that I met at CAPA. And so we're just going to start out. Just tell me a little about yourself.
Okay. Well, I grew up in the wilds of Maine, and then I moved to Boston and went to school there at New England School of Art and Design. And so I'm a creative person. When I was young, I always wanted to write mysteries because I was reading at a young age some of the children versions of the Sherlock Holmes mysteries by Conan Doyle, who we both love. And in that story, it just enticed me because the mystery was, can you solve this? Right. And all along the way, it just captured my attention. And as I got older, reading Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window or The Birds or seeing Psycho. Again, another version of a great mystery. And of course, Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple are fascinating characters. And so it made me want to have some fascinating characters of my own in a mystery. It took me a long time to figure out where my setting would be. And so many years have gone by. I did start writing a science fiction story around the year 2000. And I have 30 chapters of that done. But all of a sudden I got grabbed because New London suddenly became the location after I was volunteering gardening, because my background is a landscape garden designer. I volunteered gardening at Columbus Circle on Bank Street in New London. Okay. And all of a sudden, I realized this is my setting. This is the town, because it's a nice high contrast of beautiful homes by the beach, and then gritty street corners and questionable characters. Yeah. So you've got that high contrast, which you need for a good mystery.
Yes.
So that got me started, and I've just gone on from there.
Great, great. Yeah. And as you know, the writing process is a long, drawn-out thing.
Yeah.
And it always fascinates me. I just want to touch on this really quickly. But it kind of fascinates me that I've always wanted to be a writer myself.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, when I was 16, 17, I thought, I'd be a writer, and that's what I wanted to do and stuff. But then life sort of comes along, and then there's children and mortgages and payments and, new washing machine, and, you just keep busy with life, know. And I kept doing it and kept doing it. But it seems like that a lot of times you have to sort of hit this point in your life where all of a sudden you have the maturity or the wisdom or the hey, I'm running out of time, and you just do it.
Exactly.
And I admire that greatly. Before we talk about your book a little bit, I'm going to show the trailer.
Yeah.
The book trailer.
Great.
All right?
Good. Yeah. Hello, I'm Rose Young, author of Roses, Wine, and Murder. Welcome to a mystery adventure with Roxanne and Georgie as they try to untangle the murder of wealthy wine connoisseur Mitch Stockman, owner of the Vino Verde wine bar. This murder has joined the wailing city streets of New London to the posh vineyards by Long Island Sound, where tons of history, gardens, fine wine, and food pairings delight. Yet in this case, death disturbs all tranquility. It's dangerous, puzzling, yet often comical, as these two friends attempt to find Mitch's killer. Roxanne, who is a sweet and sensible gardening expert, and Georgie, a flamboyant, fashion-forward wine aficionado, soon discover their lives actually depend on catching this killer. As the duo haphazardly weave their way deep into trouble, New London's handsome Detective Dan Morrison and Roxanne's husband, Fire Chief Sampson, diligently try to unravel the twisting, turning fiasco that Georgie and Roxanne are intensely embroiled.
Well, that was fantastic! Wow, I couldn't believe. I just can't believe the scenery and everything. Really, is very enticing. How did you go about making that?
The video was put together by myself using a camera with video on it, and also I have a friend who is a professional videographer out of Boston. Her name's Jojo Larisha, and she actually works for at least 15 years now with the Somerville local access TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so her and I sat in her studio and did the editing and put together photographs that I had taken myself, and then scenes that she took. We took the ferry to Long Island to capture that beautiful Orient Point lighthouse with the sunset. So that's how we put it together.
That is fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
really
Thank
liked
you.
that a lot.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to put it together, and I wanted to show the scenes where I take you in the story.
Right.
You
Oh,
know?
okay.
All of those scenes you will, experience through the story: the lighthouses and the streets and the monuments, etc. The ferry and everything.
So tell me a little bit more about your book.
Yeah, well, it's set in modern day New London, in its labyrinth streets and historic sites. And so the opening scene of the book is like a Bond movie, where you have a mysterious character is scaling the side of a building at night. And so that's where you start. As the story moves on, the intrigue of all of the events are set around a presidential visit to the Coast Guard Academy. And so that kind of adds another level of tension, because you don't know is what's going on with the murder of a wealthy wine connoisseur and now another person. Is this tied in somehow, or is this just coincidence? And because the detective, Detective Dan Morrison, who is a very intelligent Irishman who is dogged on pursuing and solving the case before the president's arrival. And so it starts piling up on him and the tension builds. But I really like to have eccentric, gutsy, spirited characters that keep the story lively. A few others that you'll meet besides Roxanne, who I mentioned in the video, and Georgie, Roxanne being the gardening expert, which is my background, and Georgie is a wine aficionado, and I got a lot of the wine details from visiting all the vineyards in the area.
Right.
And he teaches you about wine and food pairings, while Roxanne lets you know about poisonous plants that are in your garden.
Yeah.
And also, Roxanne's husband is a fire chief, and so it's his crew that are on the first responders on the scene to all of these events happening. And Roxanne and Georgie are the sleuths who don't want to be, but they ended up getting targeted. And so they're trying to solve, why is this going on? And they're determined to try and figure it out, but they do it in a very madcap way.
Wow.
It's an adventure,
Yeah. Yep. Good.
So, it's fun
Oh,
to
it
put
sounds
together a story, and come up with the characters. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I can't wait to read it myself. I'll be honest with you, I never read a book by the author until after the show.
Yeah.
Because I want the author to.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell him about their book. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want
that's
them
good.
to tell me about their book.
Okay, good.
So, I don't know. Would you like to read a little clip for us?
Well, yeah. Maybe I'll set it up by saying that one of the things I do, and I know you do, is that we like to put history and facts
Right.
from the local region. And this is all based in Southeast Connecticut, and my story also goes to Long Island. So the piece that I'd like to read is here in Groton. So it's chapter 13, and I'll set it up by saying that I'm introducing a new character in this chapter. So I'll start. It's day 2 at 3:30 p.m. And from his helm on the sea jet, Captain Matthew Griswold gave the order to release the high-speed ferry from the dock. He blew the deep-toned horn, letting passengers know they were about to cast off. Simultaneously, a working cargo train slowly passed Union Station, which was close to the shipping docks. A long, shrill train whistle responded to the high-speed sea jet's horn. The conductor waved out his window, and Captain Griswold sounded back another deep-toned response and waved. Griswold loved the great outdoors and loved his job. Before landing this position 8 years ago, he had retired from 22 years in the Coast Guard seafaring history. It was long in his family. He carried within a wistful boyhood memory of when he and his dad climbed the 166 steps of the Groton Monument, an obelisk near his family's namesake, Fort Griswold on the riverside in Groton. From atop the 135-foot viewing windows, his young boy's eyes peered out and sighted his first love, sailing ships. It was then he also felt the call of the sea and learned of his maritime lineage. His grandfather teased him and said the mermaids wooed the Griswold men. But his family's nautical disposition was more like sea kelp with deep water roots that grew naturally in salt water.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah, it's fun to, because I'll go to every location in my story. I climbed the 166 steps. I looked out the viewing window. And I walk in my character's shoes.
Well, that's the thing. Like you said earlier about, I always call it writing mystery into history.
Yes, yes.
And it's fascinating to me to do that. Now, in my books, when I do it, it's 100 years past.
Oh, yeah.
So I get a lot more leeway
with
how things were and how things are.
Yeah.
Because there's so much. I try very hard to do as much research as I can and try to get things as accurate as I can.
Yeah.
And I always like to say to people, it could have happened.
Yeah.
It didn't, but it could have.
Sure, of course, yeah. Yeah, because you've got the era set.
And I love that because even that one little passage there where you're talking about the sea jet, because I happen to know a couple of guys who were captains on a sea jet.
Perfect. Well, I actually serendipitously ended up meeting one of the captains. Matthew is his name, Captain Matthew Dolly.
Oh, okay.
And he's been there 17 years. He's young because he started when he was 17, just
Yeah.
working his way up, which is nice to see that they do that at the Cross Sound Ferry.
Yeah.
But he was very wonderful and just answering a few questions of mine that I had, because my characters ride the ferry back and forth to Long Island, and they visit the vineyards in Long Island too.
Yep.
So, and you're from Long Island.
Yeah, my family's from the South Fork, so I've taken that ferry
Yep.
hundreds of times.
Oh, wow.
And gone by all those vineyards.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you also have a lot of Stonington vineyards in here, right?
Yes, I
And
do.
local-
Yes. So
local
not
places.
only, I highlight and mention like Wolfer and Bedell Cellars and Shin Vineyards and Pominock Vineyards in Long Island, because their wines are given out during the wine tastings that Georgie does.
Oh, okay.
And but also here in this area, we have Stonington Vineyards, Saltwater Vineyards, Jonathan Edwards, and Mogul Sierra. They're all featured in the book, and their wines.
Oh, good.
So I want to support the community.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, no, it's good. I mean, it's funny how, like, even, well, you met Ace Atkins, right?
Yes, I
guy who
did.
does the
Yes,
Robert Parker
yes, yes.
thing. And in his last book, he mentioned there was a meeting in the Mystic Cemetery.
Okay.
But I was a little disappointed because it really didn't talk a lot about the cemetery, a lot about Mystic. It was just like, we met him at the train station. There was a lot more to the train station, but you know, okay, that's me.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's the opportunity in our stories to add just a few brief sentences to kind of give a little of that history, that because there's so many wonderful
Yes, there is.
monuments and
Yes.
stones and people
Yep.
at the Mystic Cemetery.
Yep.
So why not just highlight
Yeah.
it a little bit, you know?
Right, and it's like we were talking earlier. It's the beautiful part is in our books, your book and my book, though mine's, you know, you can go to Gillette's Castle, the state park,
Yes.
and walk the grounds
Yeah.
and see where things happened and imagine how it was back in
Oh,
that
yeah.
day and that
Absolutely.
time. And but it's even better. I mean, you're in the present day. I mean, you know, it's like we were saying earlier, it's like going to Universal and watching them make a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're there. You're actually where it happened.
Yep.
And I think it adds to the book and it adds to the experience.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
you know, and that's a wonderful thing, wonderful way to do it. Now I want to change gears really quick, not real quick, but change them a little.
Yeah.
About the Author's Trail. I need to.
Oh, yeah.
Hear more about that.
I happened to be lucky enough, I felt, to be chosen to be on the Connecticut Authors Trail. And so it is put on by the libraries, and it's the Franklin Library. Chris, the librarian there, she started the Author Trail, I want to say 11 years ago. And this year was the most libraries had joined in to put it on. And basically, a reader can go to one of their libraries and pick up a passport where they find out all of the authors are going to be at a library on the Author Trail throughout the summer. So it lasts, I think, from June to September.
Oh, okay.
And every week there is an author presenting for 1 hour at a library. And I was fortunate enough to be at the Mystic Library and give a presentation there. And the director, Karen Wall, was fabulous. She set up a whole wine and cheese setup. She had roses, because the book's Roses, Wine, and Murder. She had rose bouquets, and she did a really nice job. And it was a great venue because we had like 20 people, and it's in this gorgeous architectural gem of a library. So it was fun. But you can take your passport as a reader and go to every library, get it checked, and then at the end there is a finale at the Mohegan Sun Casino, which is all free. And you bring in your passport, and whoever's checked the most libraries where they went to hear the author, then they win something.
Nice.
You know, they win things.
Oh,
You know, I
wow.
think they had big baskets of a variety of things.
Yeah.
And there at the event, there is an author who's popular also in Connecticut, who in this year it was Luann Rice, and she presented her book and talked about being a writer just like we are.
Yeah.
And to her audience there was more than 100 people, and it was really a fun event. So it happens every year, and if your library out there is not yet present in it, then you can ask them to be, and Chris at the Franklin Library will include your library in the event, and that way more and more authors get to present their book across Connecticut.
Well, that's good. That's good. We, I mean, it's, well, as you know, I mean, writing a book is hard enough work as it is.
It is,
but
yeah.
getting the book out there afterwards is,
Yeah.
the marketing is the tough part.
That is the tough part, yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
hard to, but you know, I mean, it's fun and it's a labor of love, but it's still a lot of work.
Yeah, I think as a writer you don't realize, I mean, you put all your effort into the writing and, you know, polishing it again 100 times to get it good. But then it's done and it's out. Now, how do you get people to know about it?
Right.
And this is it, getting to the libraries, going to the bookstores. I mean, in a way, there's so many free events out there that the bookstores put on. I was lucky enough to be at R.J. Julia in Madison in August with 3 other intrigue mystery authors. And so I just ask that the community support us, you know,
Right.
and these events usually are free.
Right.
And everybody can, you know, learn a little bit, especially if you're a new writer. That's what I did, is I started going to hear other authors to see how did they present their work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I you know, I have to admit, when I was writing my book and stuff, you know, I always labored under that, you know, that misconception that, you know, I'm going to write a book and I'll send it off to a publisher, and if they accept it, then I'm in, I'm good, everything's great, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you find out that's just not the way the world works anymore.
No.
Unless you're John Grisham or Stephen King or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
They, you know, I mean, what they do is a lot of them go to Facebook and Amazon and stuff like that and look for your books, and so you know you have to promote yourself, but
Yes.
but you know it's still a little limiting, you know what I mean? You have
Right,
to
and
try
we're
harder.
on Amazon, and
Yeah.
we're available through the bookstores,
Right.
locally at Bank Square and so forth. So it's just, but we have to pound the pavement, and
Well, that's why
you know,
that's why I always encourage people. I said, you know, if you go to a bookstore and you're going to look for a book, you know, look for a local author.
Yeah.
And you know, even if you're giving it for a gift or you're doing whatever, I
Yeah.
mean, it's your history, it's your, you know, thing, and it also it just gives more of a personal touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as we both know, I mean, there are some very talented writers.
oh yeah,
Really talented writers, but they just, you know, haven't gotten that one shot or that one
know,
thing to,
yeah.
you know, people to read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People they always used to laugh at me because, you know, they always figured I'd write a cookbook, and you know, and then they look at me and they go, where'd that come from? Why did you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's like, well, you know, that's what I want people to know. you
Yeah.
know, right?
right. It's another
Yeah.
aspect of you. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So now you got anything new coming up?
Yes, I'm working on my second book. It's going to be about the fine art world. It's going to include Mystic Museum, the Mystic Library, and other sites around the area. Also, in New London, we're going to have the Guard Arts Theater, the Hygienic Arts, and Lyman Allen Art Museum, their Tiffany collection, which is a new part of their museum, is a whole little Tiffany.
Oh, nice.
Beautifully done. So I'll have all my same characters, but now a new scene has occurred, and
Nice.
we need to solve it.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Actually, I have my third book's in editing right now. It's a sequel to A Case of the Flying Corpse called
good.
Case of the Floating Corpse.
Ah.
I am Yeah, just we're in the editing
Yeah.
phase now,
Good.
and then we'll take it from there.
You're
you know.
prolific. You're really pumping them
I
out.
try. You know what? I mean, I try to put out. I sometimes wonder if I didn't have to work and I could just get up in the
Yeah.
morning and write how much I could put out.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to take my time and do it right. So we've got just a couple minutes left. I just wanted to talk that next week, Monday night, at the Groton Regency at 6:30 is the CAPA meeting.
Yeah.
It's the third Monday of every month is when we meet.
Yeah.
It is free to the public and anybody who wants to come. There is we do ask you to sign up if you want to belong to the thing, and there's a small dues for that, but very small.
Yeah.
But you can come a few times and check us out to see if we're really for you. I have one event coming up. I'm going to be doing the Fitch Music Boosters Club.
Oh, wow.
Thing. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm hoping to film there, but I haven't told them yet, so keep it quiet.
I hope that works out.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out in the community and
That would be fun.
yeah, and see,
Yeah.
and we will be looking forward to your new book.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Anything coming up, or
No, I don't have anything right now. I might be at a few fairs, but at this point, it's not solid.
all right?
Yeah.
And now, where could people see where you're going to be? You have a website?
Yes, I have a website, roseswineandmurder.com or roseyoungauthor.com.
Okay.
Either one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and that's
Good.
where you can find out where I am or what I'm doing. Yeah.
Good. I should, in all full disclosure, I should tell you, when we had the little book raffle at the Garlic Fest,
Yes.
More people showed up for your book than mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For
Well,
me,
I mean, yeah,
not
I
for
mean, I
you.
don't know.
Oh, I want you to know I've started reading your book. I love it.
Oh, you
I
did?
love
Oh,
it.
good.
Yeah,
good.
you really capture the characters.
This is my next. Now that I've gotten this out of the way,
Yeah.
I'm
Good.
definitely going to dive into that one.
Okay.
So,
Excellent. Yeah.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to thank you, Rose, for being on the show today.
Yeah.
I want to encourage anybody out there who thinks that they have a talent or something they'd like to showcase, get in touch with me. I'm not hard to find. You can either message me on Facebook or I haven't set up a website for myself yet, but I don't know. I'm all over the place. You can find me. And I hope that you'll come forward. There's a few more. I haven't explored a few areas of talent that I want to. So
Good.
Woodworkers and people like that. But we'll see. We'll
Wonderful.
see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, I want to wish you the best with
Thank
your new
you.
book, and I am looking forward to it. And of course, I'll see you next Monday at Capitol.
Okay.
All right?
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much, Rose.
Take care. Thank
Have
you.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a great one.